Morant with a running start. Elevates. Oh, it dunks. Oh, my goodness.
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn his heat. It's gone. Memphis on top. 7 tenths remaining. Conley now with 3. Counted. A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took exception.
Adams going long. Morant. He hit it. John Morant. Insanity.
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm joined for the first time by Kelcey Wright Johnson. Kelcey, how are you?
I am ready.
You're ready for whatever happens on this show. You're prepared.
Look, you asked me to come on and I gave you 2 parameters, 2 things that if these 2 things did happen, one or the other, I would not come on, and they both were fine. So here we are. Let's go.
So I'll tell the listeners. Initially, you said, yes, I will definitely come on whenever. And then you said, how about this? I said, how about this date? You said, great. As long as Dillon Brooks has a good game.
Period.
And I was like, well, what are we putting the odds at for that to occur? Can we say Dillon had a good game? He had 30 points.
Yeah, and he shot 50% from the field. Let's go.
I have a stat for you.
What?
The Grizzlies haven't won this year when Dillon Brooks scores 30 points.
Oh.
It's not his fault, I guess.
I don't look at yesterday.
Shorthanded.
It's shorthanded. Yeah, I don't look at yesterday as like, I don't know when this comes out. Can I say yesterday?
Oh, no, it's coming out ASAP. Yeah, it's coming out on Thursday.
So I don't look at yesterday's loss against the Clippers as like you know when you like lose a game and like the whole next day or the whole next 2 days you're analyzing. Can I swear on this? You're analyzing.
It's G-rated show, Kelcey.
You're analyzing the crap out of it for like so long. You're like, man, Ja didn't score in the fourth quarter. Like, what's up with Santi? Like, yesterday was a game where I think you can let that one go. And I think going into that, seeing who wasn't playing, you're like, you know what? If we lose this, we're okay with it. We'll get it back Friday and then we'll move on and everyone's a little healthy. I don't look at yesterday as like, oh, Dillon scored 30 and the Grizzlies. Okay, the Grizzlies didn't win. I think we'll be all right.
Here's how I take all facts. I just say them if they sound unique. And then you can draw whatever conclusions you want. I like to specify I'm drawing a conclusion from this, but many times I'm just like, hey, here's a fact. Do with it what you will. I think we can.
I have a good one.
What is it?
I saw this morning on Sean Coleman.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Love Sean Coleman.
The Grizzlies are now 48-3 in franchise history when scoring 130 or more points.
Yeah.
Last night was the first time they lost a game in regulation when scoring 130 or more points. Before that, they had been 41-0.
This is great. I actually had that stat ready. I hadn't even compared. I compare notes with Sean a lot, where I'll go check his Twitter feed, and I always give him credit. I'm like, this is a Sean Coleman found stat.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
That's one I'd found. Also, I mean, I've been talking about it. The Grizzlies had won 27 straight games when scoring 130 more. This is one in their last 42 games, the last 42 times. And again, these are just fun stats. Again, we're shorthanded. The last 42 times the Grizzlies have scored 125 or more. They're 40-2, both losses this month against the Clippers.
Well, that I do not like.
I don't like it at all. Also this game. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Yes. Dillon played well. Move on.
Dillon played well and didn't have a great fourth quarter. John Morant played well. Also didn't have a great fourth quarter. Again, I think we can maybe ask, like, is there an issue with fourth quarters? But again, we had a weird squad. Our entire bench was rookies.
Our entire bench was rookies. It was a lot of guys who have played on the hustle this year. Shout out the hustle. They have a play.
Yeah, it was. Oh wait, they're playing right now. No, they're playing Friday, right? Friday
at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And also something to just keep in mind, because I know we're going to talk about Ja fourth quarter, is the Grizzlies are still ramping up his minutes. Like, you have to keep in mind, like, playing basketball is hard for anyone. If you take a week off, if you take a week and a half off, your body is not conditioned to continue to play 48 minutes. So he played more minutes last night than he has played since he got back. So was the fourth quarter a little rough? Yes. Was he maybe a little tired because he's still a human being? Probably yes, because they did not even have a backup point guard. I guess Kennedy Chandler, but like Kennedy Chandler played what, like 9 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't look too much into it, but I'm always I'm always an optimist, I suppose.
So let's go and talk about it, since we don't have to tease things on this show. No one's leaving. They once they're here to stay. Ja's fourth quarter numbers. So he had 36 on Wednesday night, but in the fourth quarter, he only made 1 out of 6 from the field, 1 out of 7. Also had 2 turnovers. And for the season, he was 1 out of 6 in the fourth, 2 turnovers, 1 assist. For the season, Ja Morant in fourth quarters is shooting 36.6% on his field goal attempts. I do think last night specifically makes a ton of sense that he would be exhausted, tired, physically not there. Dillon Brooks for this season in fourth quarters, he has great clutch numbers, which are arbitrarily defined by the NBA. I don't put much stock in any clutch stats, but for the season, Dillon Brooks is shooting 34.7% in fourth quarters. There are 200 players in the NBA, Kelcey, who have attempted at least 100 field goal attempts in the fourth quarter this season. Of those 200 players, Ja is 192nd in field goal percentage, and Dillon is 197th. I ask you, what's up with that?
May I, since you have the tab open, it seems, ask you about Desmond Bane's numbers?
Desmond Bane's numbers. I don't actually have it, but I can get it real fast. Desmond Bane's numbers were actually, so I had this pulled up for recently, in clutch situations. They were very, very poor until basically like 4 games ago, where he had, it was the Spurs game. He scored all those points in overtime, the first 8 points of overtime in the great Spurs comeback. He had a bunch. There was another clutch time game, which again, I would argue maybe it shouldn't have been a clutch time game where the Grizzlies had leads erased. So he's been performing. But let me look up those exact stats while you fill the airspace.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that specifically is because if you have watched the Grizzlies when they're full strength, and I put a big asterisk on when they're full strength, this team is so good at allowing guys who have the hot hand at certain times to continue to have that hot hand. Ja is someone who a lot of the time, and like, obviously I don't have stats on this, a lot of the time he's a facilitator in the first half. That third quarter, he's like, okay, it's my time to go. Let's go. And then he continues to facilitate and get the person, the hot hand, who has a hot hand in that fourth quarter. So yes, the shooting percentage is not great, but it's also because he has guys around him who, like Desmond Bane, I'm interested to see his numbers. Actually, they have Jaren Jackson Jr., who they're trying to get baskets for late in the game as of recently. And so I think, yes, Ja's not scoring a lot in the fourth, but he's also not being asked to score a lot in the fourth. Like, he's the guy who obviously end of game, it's the call Ja thing, right? Like, end the game, you're down by 1, you get the ball to Ja, he's gonna go get you a bucket. But for a majority of that 12 minutes, like, Ja's still, although he's our top scorer, although he's our franchise player, he's still a pass first point guard. Like, he still wants to facilitate. So
here are the numbers for the entire season. In fourth quarters, Desmond Bane is shooting 46% from the field and 40% on 3-pointers. Those are just Desmond Bane's stats. Those are his, all game stats. There's no change. Jaren Jackson Jr. has some very good fourth quarter numbers, 53% on field goal attempts, including 41% from 3, 27 for 66 on fourth quarter threes. I do think it's a problem. When I look at Ja Morant's numbers, 17% on fourth quarter 3-point attempts and 67% from the line. I think flat out, that's something Ja needs to fix. And it hasn't been the case last year. Like, last year, he was good in fourth quarters. And this year specifically, it feels like he's been more of that third quarter scorer. We saw it on Wednesday night. He had 20 points in a very exciting third quarter. Again, this Clippers game was silly. I've never watched an ABA game, but in my mind, that's what an ABA game was like. Where it's like, wow, everyone's just going to score. Every time they try to score, it's going to be 105 to 105 after 3 quarters. But anyways, the Ja Morant shooting splits, for whatever reason this season, just down.
I mean, look at the third quarter and the last time we played the Clippers too. Like, this team scored 51 points and then 17 in the fourth. The third quarter has been really good. I would love to know what Taylor Jenkins says to this team in the locker room to like pump them up for the third quarter. And I'd like to just replay it going into the fourth.
I believe Peyton Manning, whose wife is a part owner of the Grizzlies, has a thing about like what actually happens at halftime of sports games. And he says, everybody eats an orange and goes to the bathroom, and that's it. Coaches don't actually say anything, but maybe Taylor Jenkins does say something.
I know they're on their phones. Like, I know that. So it's obviously not great.
Yeah.
In conclusion,
we need a little bit better. Highlighting how we don't have to like dive deep into the analysis of this basketball game is the fact that the Clippers hit 22 3-pointers They set a season high on 3-point percentage. This is also a season high for 3-point percentage allowed by the Grizzlies, tied for the most 3-pointers allowed in a game by the Grizzlies. And specifically, the dastardly duo of Robert Covington and Russell Westbrook made all 12 of the 3-point attempts. They are the first teammates. This is from Justin Kubatko. They're the first teammates to go 5 or 5 or better from 3 in the same game since Kobe Bryant and Smush Parker. Those are the only 2 pairs of teammates to ever do it. This is the best 3-point shooting game in Westbrook's career without a miss. Same for Robert Covington. It's frankly amazing that this game was tied at 122.
Especially when you look at the roster that
Yeah.
the Grizzlies are playing with. Like, don't get me wrong, I know Kawhi was out and PG was out, but like, I know. They shot very well. It was very annoying. The crowd was not happy. I did talk to John Morant and Dylan Brooks after the game. And so we were kind of in a scrum with Ja. And you can hear it if you go back and listen. It's on Valley Sports Twitter. We're in a scrum with Ja and someone. I don't know how it came up, but someone said, hey, like the Clippers shot really well. Like,
right.
What the hell? And we're talking to Ja, and Dylan walks by and he's like, I promise you they're not going to shoot like that on Friday. And he just like walks by. And Dylan takes such pride in that. And so a reporter says, oh, like to Ja, because we're talking to Ja and they heard Dylan. He's like, okay, so you don't think they're going to shoot that well on Friday? Like they shot the lights out. Like it's like you said, like that's not something that you can replicate 2 days in a row.
Right.
And Ja says, I plead the fifth. Because every time I say something, the media takes it and runs with it for the next 25 months. So
I heard I plead the fifth comment. Very funny. I didn't know who it was who said that they're not going to do that, because you can hear. Yeah. So it's Dylan Brooks. We can assign that to Dylan Brooks saying they're not going to make 60% of their 3-pointers 2 games in a row. Fingers crossed. Yeah, this was a season high for Russell Westbrook. I know the 3-point issue or the 3-pointers aren't going to drop like that. I do think maybe a lot of the guys who actually played in this game can highlight we need to have a little bit better perimeter defense. Like no one, maybe not even Dylan, was keeping players in front of them in this game. But again, we'll chalk it up to the lack of the regular roster.
But like, it should be a season high for Russ. They didn't have PG, they didn't have Kawhi. Who else is scoring? Like it should be. I think a lot of the time we look at things like that, we're like, oh my God, Russ played so well against us. Like, what's wrong with our defense? Nothing. He was the one to score. If we didn't play anyone except for Santi Aldama, Santi would be our leading scorer. It would be the best game that he had this season. Like yesterday's game, there could be so many like clickbaity titles and stats, but like it's not real.
That's fair. No, you have expressed the thing where the phrase I use is somebody's got to score.
Yeah.
This is the back in the day, I believe, before you were on the Grizzlies beat, we signed Marshawn Brooks to a guaranteed contract based on him scoring 20 points per game, like in March and April. And it was like, guys, he's not. That's surprising. Somebody's got to score. Now, does the other team have to score 140 points?
No. And do they have to shoot 80% from? No.
Grizzlies are now winless the 9 times they've allowed 140 points in their 28-year history. What are your thoughts, Kelcey, on the Grizzlies resting guys? Because we've been told they're ramping up for minutes, and this is not resting like early in the year. We have 4 games in 6 nights, or 3 out of 4. This is a 3 out of 4, but it's a no travel 3 out of 4. And I thought we were ramping the guys up to get their minutes going. Tyus Jones is a backup point guard. I'm not familiar with that frequently resting your backup point guard. I know maybe he's more than a backup for this Grizzlies team, but this seemed like an important game for the Grizzlies to lock up the 2 seed. I know fans, maybe the team doesn't care about it. I think for fans, we're like, I want the Clippers to be pushed down to that 6-7 range. So like I can avoid the Warriors. I want the Warriors to go up to 5. Maybe that's just me. That's just like a scared fan thing of trying to dodge the Warriors in the postseason. But what are your thoughts on this specific game where you're not traveling, second game of a back-to-back, we're ramping up for the playoffs to then be like, actually night off for a bunch of the dudes?
I think there is a difference in resting a guy. And And like, I think this is, okay, hear me out. And you can call my BS. I think there's a difference in resting a guy and avoiding injury. And hear me out when I say this, because I'm going to take John Conchar, for example. And I know that's not one of the guys you brought up, but it just off the top of my head.
It works.
John Conchar.
Why are we load managing our ninth man? Yeah,
just listen.
I'm sorry.
Listen to me. John Conchar. There's a difference between like, hey, we could play John Conchar tonight, or like we could rest John Conchar so that he's ready to go on Friday night against the Clippers, or like pushing him, right? But the game before, he fell and hit his hip. So is there going to be another time between now and when the playoffs start, or when we're in the playoffs and we're like really like there, where he's going to have a couple days to give that hip a rest, where he can potentially be at 100%? We could play him tonight and he could be at 80%, and 80% John Conchar is good. Or we could rest him for these 2 days, get that little nagging injury that's just been bugging him since he fell on it last game, and then he could be 100%. And I feel like a lot of these guys took this opportunity when it was the second half of back-to-back against the Clippers. And I know you're like, let's lock it up. Let's like get the Clippers down, whatever. But it's a game that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. In the 82 games that we play this year, it doesn't really matter. Now he can rest, and now we can have these guys at 100. The same with Jaren. So if he's going to play at 85%, or we can let him rest a little bit for whatever injury he had nagging on him, or he could play at 100% and then we start the ramp up period. I think there's just a big difference between that, because these guys, if you look at a lot of them, like it's guys that haven't really sat out. Tyus Jones, he hasn't really sat out at all. So it's not like a, hey, Tyus, take the night off, we don't care about this game. It's like, hey, Tyus, get yourself 100%, because starting Friday, we're ramping up. And we don't want a 75% Tyus to ramp up. We want 100% Tyus to ramp up.
Right.
And so also looking at the Clippers schedule, and this is like a very specific to like this Clippers game, sitting out or resting or getting yourself good to start that ramp up period. And coach has said it's going to start on Friday. The Clippers also have a back-to-back that night, right? So they play
Friday, Saturday.
They play Saturday against LA, I think. I know it's in LA. And so I think you're looking at the schedule being like, you know what, like Friday's a game that we're going to get, because they're going to be focused on the next game, because that one matters a little more for them. And we're going to have our guys at 100, and then we'll start the ramp up period. So I don't know. I just think there's a difference between like when Kawhi used to just like sit out because he's tired and old, and starting your playoff mindset when everyone's healthy and not like just sore. Like your body gets sore playing every other night.
What consideration, if any, was given to not wanting to ruin Steven Adams' Hawaiian shirt night?
Not enough.
Not enough. It was a big night.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Obviously, we did not put enough consideration into that. And that I'm going to bring that up to the president of America.
I have an important question also based on Steven Adams' Hawaiian shirt night. The shirt fit Steven Adams, and he wore it to the thrill and delight of the marketing department. Does that mean all the shirts are gigantic? Are they just huge?
It means that all the shirts are an extra large. Okay. I believe.
Because I was like, when I saw him wearing it, I'm like, that fits, and it isn't tight. It looks like it's like resting comfortably on Steven Adams' shoulders. So that means it's a pretty big shirt. So it is pretty big.
I think to be inclusive with everyone, I do believe I heard that they were all extra larges, so like you could wear them.
I mean, if you had asked me if an extra large fits Steven Adams, I would have said no. That man needs.
Like, he's gigantic. Like, he's the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life, and I'm around NBA players every day. Obviously, Jaren's taller. Steven Adams is the largest human I've ever seen, but he's still slim. So like his shirt's still like, you know, BLJ, you know, the in arena host, he wore that shirt yesterday. But he just cut off the sleeves. He said, I saw that. I actually liked his tweet today. That he, of course, there's no way that man's going to wear sleeves. So yeah, I like that he customized his. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back to talk about Luke Kennard and what you're looking forward to over the final 6 games. Friday night, do not miss a Grizzlies Nashville watch party at Noble's Beer Hall. Come watch the Grizzlies and Clippers game at 7 p.m. I will be there giving away Grizzlies prizes. There will be drink specials. Come join me and fellow Grizzlies fans to watch the Grizzlies and Clippers battle.
Friday night, March 31st, 7 p.m., Nobles Beer Hall. See you there. All right, so Kelcey, Luke Kennard has been on a heater. He was on a heater off the bench. He got the start in this one because of the guys who were resting. He only hit 1 3. He did, in fact, tie Kyle Lowry and Solomon Hill for the 63rd most made three-pointers in Grizzlies franchise history.
Oh my God. Epic.
Only one behind Bonzi Wells and David Roddy. Well, first of all, what's your favorite nickname for Luke Kennard?
Okay, you put this tweet out, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Didn't you do, was it not you that had 4?
You have to tell me what it is first.
4 different nicknames. It was like Nuke Kennard, Nard Dog.
Oh no, this was not me. No, I didn't do this.
Oh, did I make that up?
Okay,
I voted on something on Twitter.
So Nard Dog, no. Why would we call him Nard Dog? That's right out. I don't know what that means. Oh, because his last name's Kennard. I get it now. No. The thing is, he has a nickname. He is Nuke Kennard. He's also Cool Hand Luke, but also Pete Pranik has been saying long ball Luke nonstop.
I don't like that. A long ball.
What does it mean?
I don't like it.
Is it just that long and Luke are alliterations?
I'm sorry, Pete. I hate that more than anything in the world.
That's what he says. And it's going to stick because he says it every single game.
I'm telling you, it's not going to stick because I've never heard it. So like, maybe that's just
well, you're not watching the broadcast because you're at the games usually, right?
So yeah, the fans at the games. I'm trying to find this tweet. I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to look.
No, it's fine.
I voted on something and it had 4 options. I
like Luke Nukem.
Luke
from Duke Nukem, the violent video game.
Oh, I've never heard.
Back when it was novelty for video games to be violent. Now they're all violent, so it's no longer a novelty. I like Luke Nukem. I like Nuke Kennard. Don't like long ball Luke. What about Luke Long 3? In honor of Luke Long.
Anything long needs to just
get out of there. Not for it.
Luke Long Ball Luke. Stop.
Long ball Luke. That's what Pete Pranica says. You need to bring it up with him and say, he can't change now. He can't.
Nobody else hears what's wrong with that. Am I the only one?
Yeah, you are.
I know this is a family show, but like I know what everyone's thinking.
Okay. That's fine.
No.
You got to ask. Well, just ask Luke what his favorite one is. Ask him if he likes Luke Nukem. I like that one a lot.
I like Nuke Kennard.
Yeah, Nuke Kennard's good. It works.
It's like you get it, it's easy.
Yeah. What do you think Luke Kennard, he's obviously provided nicely with a 3-point output. The Grizzlies have now made double-digit 3-pointers in 12 straight games, which is the longest streak in franchise history. A lot of that is because of Luke Kennard. Yeah. Is this a late season stretch similar to what the Grizzlies have done in previous seasons, where they start smoking teams when it comes to March and April because they're focused, they have maybe a system, and the other teams do not? Or is this like actually a market improvement where we're going to see I want to call him Long 3 right then. We're going to see Kennard doing this in the postseason, where we're going to get the same 3-point output. He's going to be able to stay on the court because teams hopefully won't be attacking him, or he's going to make enough threes. Won't matter if they attack him. Is this like a regular season aberration, or do you believe in Nuke Kennard being a playoff difference maker?
Are the two mutually exclusive?
Yeah.
I don't know if they are.
Okay.
I think you can look at the first one.
Yeah.
And say the Grizzlies do have the easiest quote unquote schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And so they should win. They should play well. Luke should get shots because, again, like we said, everyone's ramping up. So John Morant will be playing, Jaren will be playing, Des will be playing. Like he is not the defense's priority.
Yeah.
He should be getting shots. And so I think you can look at that and be like, you know what? Look at the schedule. Let's get Luke going so his confidence is up. But then at the second, I think you build that confidence with him. He gets comfortable and he's the best 3-point shooter in the league, or like the highest percentage 3-point shooter in the league. And so yeah. I think we see this Luke in the playoffs, the more comfortable he gets because of the schedule and the games that we have right now. So I think one leads to another. I think we get this Luke in the playoffs, but I also am not naive at looking at the schedule and seeing who we're playing. We
Right.
played Orlando and the Clippers, and we have Portland at home.
Yeah. Orlando's like the good team we played recently, or like the team that's been
Like-
playing okay. You know, it's like, yeah, it's well, we didn't cover. Not that that matters to anyone. What are you looking forward to in the final 6 games? Like, to wrap this up, what do you want to see from the Grizzlies in their final 6 games? And then also a second question, who do you hope the Grizzlies face in the first round of the playoffs?
Woo. Okay. What I am most looking forward to. I'm looking forward to, honestly, the playoffs when we can get everyone back.
Is that going to happen?
That wasn't the question.
No.
Okay, before the playoffs, is it going to happen? So I don't know if you heard Chris Vernon. He talked to an anonymous source who wouldn't know.
Oh.
And they said, he had said that the person said Steven Adams' reevaluation is legitimately a reevaluation. You know how sometimes they'll be like, well, we'll reevaluate it in 2 weeks. And it's like, okay, he's out for the season. And it's just like words. He said that this is like a legit reevaluation. So like Steven Adams, like, could come back in the playoffs, which is amazing, but that also wasn't your question. What am I most looking forward to?
Or what do you want to prioritize? What do you think the team should be prioritizing in the final 6 games?
The rotations.
Yeah.
The playoffs come down, like you go from a 10, 11 man rotation to, I mean, last night it was like 6, to a 9-man rotation. And because the lineups have been so wonky this whole entire year with injuries and in and out and suspensions and all that, I don't feel like the chemistry on the court, I'm not saying like the actual guys don't like each other, like the on-court chemistry has reached its peak. And so I think in the next few games to finish out the regular season, so the next like 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, I think you take the schedule because it is so easy, and you figure out the rotations, the lineups that you want to go and move into playoffs in. Because I don't think you have to worry about, like, let's get Luke more comfortable just taking threes. Like, I think we get Luke more comfortable, like, with the players that he's going to play with, like in that second unit. I think we get the guys who will be healthy, all healthy. And you look at the actual like rotations, like not like set them in stone, but like, let's actually sit down and figure this out, because the next, how many games do we have left?
The 6, unless I'm bad at counting.
Okay, so the next 6 games, like, let's actually like have all the guys healthy for all these games, God willing, and like, let's see who's playing well with who and how we can attack these defenses, rather than let's just go and like worry about winning these games. Like, I hate to say this, but we're gonna win the games. You know what I mean? Maybe not 6, but like, look at the schedule.
Yeah, we're gonna win. I mean, honestly, our final road trip of 3 games could be sort of tough. Like we're playing the Pelicans on the road at the Pelicans. We're playing.
Okay.
We're playing at the Thunder, and then I think we play the Bucks. But the Bucks feel like they always rest their guys against us into the year. A little Budenholzer or Taylor Jenkins for a little friendship, maybe a little wink.
Yeah, and like by that time too, like.
Right, they should be the 1 seed and done.
That's what I'm gonna see. Like you'll start to get locked into your space, and you'll not get full rosters. I think the Grizzlies focus on. I think if I had to pick one single thing, it was nailing down rotations, because of how wonky our lineups have been all year.
Yeah. So finally, what's the playoff opponent you want? Because if the Grizzlies do lock in that 2 seed, there's mathematically, or not even just like mathematically, like there's realistically something like 6 to 7 teams the Grizzlies could play. We still don't have any idea who we're going to play.
I don't know if you saw Kyrie's quote yesterday.
What about the bet? I'm not sure.
Someone said something about like the play-in, the playoff, all that, and he called it a cluster.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
the whole thing. Like that was it was just funny to me, because when I look at the standings, I'm like, yeah, like you guys are all tied. Like, look, okay, so we were saying the Clippers are 11 games back, the Warriors 12, and then it goes 13, 13.5, 13.5, 14, 15. Like everyone is like half a game, all just like this together, and then it's us at the top.
Yep.
Okay, so realistically, who would I want? Last year, if you would have asked me this, I would have been like anybody but the Mavs. but it does seem like the Mavs are exploding currently.
Yeah.
OKC, I don't mind OKC, and I'm going all the way down, by the way. Like
that's fine.
Because I have no idea who this is going to be. OKC, I would be okay with OKC. I know we lost to them once, but we also like killed them twice, and I'd be okay with OKC, I guess. The Pelicans, is Zion playing? I haven't watched the Pelicans in a while.
He has not played. He is going to be reevaluated basically the day the season ends or something. So I don't know if that's a real evaluation or not, but
yeah, those real evaluations. I think I'd be okay with the Pelicans. I don't want the Lakers if LeBron comes back.
I don't want the Lakers at all.
You don't want, even if, okay.
I mean, like
LeBron doesn't play,
I rank them by how ashamed and upset I will feel if we lose to them. And like Lakers are basically one. I feel like my life will be the worst if we lose to the Lakers of any team. I have the Warriors second. My life will be the second worst if we lose to the Warriors. Like you might think it's embarrassing if we lose to like the Timberwolves or the Thunder. For me, that's not going to be, it's going to hurt, but it's not going to be as painful if I have to live with losing to Lakers people or losing to Warriors people. So that's how I have them ranked.
Okay. If I was ranking them that way, it would be Warriors number one, because the Warriors fan base hates me and threatens me on a daily basis.
They're not well.
No, like mentally, they're not okay.
Yeah. All sports fans are broken. I'll say that. There are bad sports fans everywhere. Every NBA team has terrible fans, and maybe it's just that there's so many more of them, and there's just the fan base is bigger. So statistically, we're going to end up with more nuts. But yeah, it's pretty brutal out there.
Okay, but who would you? I'm flipping it on you. Who would? I speak for.
Who do I want to play?
Who do you want to play? If you had to choose right now, you're like, you know what, this would be a great matchup for us.
I think the Grizzlies would have no problem beating the Thunder or the Pelicans.
Those were the two that I was kind of going, but I'd also kind of take the Mavs. I don't know. The Mavs are such a bad matchup.
Luka Doncic, I want to say, is 9-1 in his career against John Morant. Maybe it's 8-1. Luka Doncic hasn't lost to the Grizzlies in basically forever. So I still have that nervousness.
I'm still scarred by that one game, I think last year, maybe 2 years ago, where Luka made that like stupid shot.
The buzzer beater where he laid down horizontal to the ground before making it. Yeah, it was the worst.
Like, shut up, Luka. Yeah, I'm still kind of scarred by that. It's just like, I'm always scared of the Mavs. Again, like if you would have asked me last year, I'm like, anyone but the Mavs. But they just have been playing so horribly. Like, are you guys okay?
I don't think they're okay. I mean, I would play the Clippers are 5th. If the Clippers slid to 7th, or if we ended up in a 3-6 with the Clippers, I'm fine with that. Like I don't mind the Clippers without Paul George. Bring him on. Like I don't care at all.
Is Paul George out for the playoffs?
Oh, I don't believe he's coming back. That's another one. They say he's coming back. I would be real surprised if Paul George played.
Kawhi doesn't scare you at all?
Oh, of course he does. But just Kawhi? If we're going to have Bane and Jaren and Ja.
They have Robert Covington.
They have Tennessee State's own Robert Covington,
NBA
a guy I've wanted on the Grizzlies for forever. His audition went too well last night. Chill out, Robert. We're already interested. You don't need to make any more threes.
We get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would be okay with OKC or the Pelicans too. OKC, I really love Shai, but like Ja and Shai can cancel each other out. Ja's better. And the Pelicans without Zion. Okay.
I think the OKC matchup would be important for Ja to tell Ja, like, hey man, national consensus, Shai has caught you. Where people I think if you polled all NBA fans, it would be split between who's the better player between Shai and Ja. I need Ja to hear that and feel that fire and come out. I mean, Ja's playoff stats are absolutely astounding.
Wait, so do you think that's true?
I don't know.
Oh.
If you swap Shai and Ja, would the team's records be different? I have no idea. I think it's an interesting NBA question. I know Grizzlies fans get mad at me whenever I say something like that, where I question how awesome our own guys are. I mean, Ja is awesome. Shai is probably going to finish ahead of him in an MVP vote. I mean, he is flat out. Like Shai's going to finish in like the top 8 of MVP. Ja is not. And Shai is going to be all NBA this year, I'm pretty sure, for a guard spot, and Ja's position is up in the air. So there's other factors, of course. There's the games played. There's the off-court stuff with Ja, which maybe media members hold against him. But I think it's an interesting conversation to have.
I always think that I come from a very different perspective, and I'm not trying to like pull this card, but as someone who, at least on Twitter and I guess in real life, like I have a very big connection to Canada and like the Canadian basketball fans.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I always think that Shai is so effing good because I'm seeing it all the time. I'm seeing his stats, like NBA Canada, like everyone always wants to talk to me about like him and Lou Dort and like the Indiana Pacers. And I'm like, yeah, like there is so much buzz about him. But then to hear someone who is not in that Canadian basketball space to say that Shai is on like the same kind of like stage level as John Morant is interesting to me because it kind of validates what I've been hearing, but also I disagree because John Morant is him, Timothy. But that kind of just like opened my eyes. I'm like, maybe it's not just us Canadians who are cheering for him. What?
No, I mean, Ja's the bigger superstar, obviously. And, you know, I think he's a more electric and exciting player. As far as the impact on winning, I think it's an interesting conversation where they're both all NBA level guards. They're two of the best guards in the NBA, the guys who can score 30 points every night. Who's better? I have no idea. I mean, Shai's clearly a better defensive player. And then you have to weigh the offensive merits of each guy. And I think it's pretty close. So yeah.
But when you're weighing the offensive merits, are you not looking at the Grizzlies are second, the Thunder's 10th? That doesn't matter.
I mean, look at Shai's supporting cast compared to what the Grizzlies have. I mean, I think it's.
But the Grizzlies supporting cast wasn't always what it was. Like Desmond Bain became what he was. You know what I mean? He was like a 30th pick. Jaren Jackson Jr. wasn't always Defensive Player of the Year. Jaren Jackson Jr. Like when he was obviously he was a high pick. He was first or second or third or whatever. But like I feel like Ja's elevated everyone to be the best that they can be.
That's
and I'm not saying
certainly an argument. Yeah.
I love Shai. I really do. I love him.
What would the Thunder's record be if they had John Morant instead of Shai? If you swapped them?
I think, and I know that national, I forget who it was, Charles Barkley or someone was like, Ja doesn't make his teammates better. I think Ja is one of the guys who
that was silly.
Make his teammates better. Like I think he's like one of the guys who makes all of his teammates better. So I don't know. Maybe the Thunder are in 9th. No, I'm kidding. I
mean, Ja's case for being amazing is unassailable. They've been good from day one. Ja Morant showed up. The Grizzlies all of a sudden have outperformed expectations. Finger crossed they're going to hit their over this year. It's still up in the air a little bit. But like, I mean, again, Ja's case is unassailable. I just think both guys are elite, and I will entertain conversations supporting either one.
Do you think the Grizzlies are as good if it's Shai and not Ja? Because I think no.
I think yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
I think, and we got to wrap up, but I think there's an argument that Shai's a better fit for the Grizzlies players than the Grizzlies roster. Is that upsetting? All right, that's fair. Well, Kelcey, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I have to run through a few novelty stats to close this. Otherwise, my notes go to waste. Dylan Brooks has made at least 1 3 in 19 straight games. That's a career-long streak for him.
Canada.
He passed my guy Kyle Anderson to move into 15th in franchise history in assists on Wednesday night. John Morant 12 for 12 from the line against the Clippers. That's the most attempts he's ever had in a game without a miss in his career. That's all I got. Kelcey, anything you want to plug or anything? Listen to Just Grizzlies on Grind City Media.
Yeah, but I don't know when the next one's gonna come out. So,
fair enough.
Listen to the other ones because they're really good and you get to know our players better as like human beings.
There you go. Well, Kelcey, I enjoyed it. I look forward to the next time.
Thank you. You're the bomb.